I noticed that for topics that you don't like, 1 minute, 1 minute.
Oh my God.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
It's like, yo, this fight, the boring fight, 20 minutes.
Yes. Yes.
Boring fight, 20 minutes.
It's not.
Exactly, bro.
So what about me? What about
Hey, y'all, what's going on? This is the Highly Advised Podcast. This is Relaxing No-G_Jackson, a.k.a. Nigel, chilling here with Saint Kitch and Big Cozy, Too Cozy. How are you guys doing this week?
Yo, I can't call it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, if you don't know the voice, I'll let you know. It's Spence, a.k.a. Saint Kitch. You can follow me on Instagram, st.kitch. You know, I can't complain. The weather's good. The water's cold. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, God is great. My paper's straight. So ain't nothing to complain about. It's been a crazy week, so I can't wait to kind of cover some of these topics. How's everything been for you guys, though?
Man, everything is good. You know, it's your boy Big Cozy, Too Cozy, aka Mr. James Bond, aka, you know, the real life superhero, the real life Black Dynamite. You know what I mean? I I can't even call it, man. You know, the weather here is extremely shitty, but you know, my money is not. So there we go.
That's fair enough.
Gotta stay in your paper straight.
Yes, sir.
Oh man. I guess let's just get into it. Y'all ready to watch these fights that are coming on this weekend? I know we got, you know, the main event with Blachowicz and Adesanya. I know that's like, you know, the big main attraction for this card. Like, how do y'all feel about that?
Man,
That was this weekend.
Yeah. It's this weekend, man. You gotta tune in. You gotta spend your hard-earned $70. So I think Adesanya is gonna finish him. I'm gonna say second or third round TKO. Not a knock on Blachowicz, but outside of him being a tough opponent and a tough fight for anybody, really, I just think Adesanya has the tools and the striking. Is just, you know, we'll see the skill set this Saturday. I could deep dive into it, you know, like what Adesanya does really well and all that, but you know, for the sake of time and stuff, I got Adesanya third round TKO.
You don't believe in the Polish power?
No, I believe in the Polish power. I just think that Polish power is going against, you know, he's going against a Nigerian nightmare who's not named Usman. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think the Polish power is a damn good fighter. I just think that, you know, Adesanya he's just a cut above.
I think Adesanya has a decent chance of winning this fight. I think he's just a little bit too polished in the way he actually fights. A part of me wants him to, if he fights, just stay at light heavyweight and then see what he can do up there, because I feel like that's going to be an interesting division for him to at least defend a few times. But I feel like if he wins and starts calling out John Jones, then I'm like, all right, man, like relax, you know, like I feel like we've all kind of moved on from that. You know what I mean? Like I would like to see I think he could actually like be like, if not a dual champion, like just like the new light heavyweight dude. Because if he beats Jan, then I mean, who's going to be in his way after that? You know?
I feel like with Adesanya, they're like you said, like he's too polished of a fighter. And when it comes to a conversation of like who Adesanya is at the end of the day, he's on that path to being one of the greats. No knock to Blachowicz or anything, but I just don't see him doing the job at the end of the day. I have it like fourth round. I got a fourth round TKO. Like I will say this though, unfortunately, I do think he will have an outcry for John, because he knows at this point, because I think it's just one of these things just to keep his name in the media, even though him being a double champion is going to be something very spectacular to see. So, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happens if he were to win. I'm not sure what happens in terms of the steps he makes moving forward. Does he stay at 205 or does he go back down? Because I mean, to be a double champion is going to it's just a lot of bread right there. Like we've seen what Conor was able to do in terms of marketing. If you have someone like him, he becomes a double champion. I think it'll be something interesting to see. So,
well, it's weird because like this is one of those fights where I feel like Adesanya should win, but MMA math is a tricky thing sometimes. You know what I mean? And I feel like there is a chance that he can lose this fight. Like, I don't think it's just some, oh, Adesanya is going to automatically win. Like, I think he gets hit the right way. I think he puts him to sleep. That's the only way I see him really winning this fight, though.
Yeah, I think that Blahovic, good guy. I'm happy that he won the championship. Um, but I think Adesanya is just, a better striker outside of, being able to catch Adesanya with, a well-timed place hook or maybe a straight or overhand. I just don't see him, outstriking Adesanya. I just don't, man. But, good for him though, because this is a highlight fight for his career, because prior to this, yeah, we had the Dominic Reyes thing, but he was just an afterthought. Now that he is the champion, now it's like, okay, now we put him in a big main event against an up and coming guy. So it's nice for him to get some of the spotlight too, even though he's being predicted to lose.
I think it is something good in terms of visibility. Even if he can make it because like Nigel even said, like you can't you. It's hard to make a decision in terms of like who can win when it comes to MMA, just because even though styles make fights, it's like the math of like, yo, anytime you walk into the ring, anybody can get dropped, right? So I think when it comes to that part, it's going to be a little tricky, but I do think we'll probably see a better Adesanya possibly because the reality is now he's probably walking around close to more of his normal weight, more of his like average weight that he walks around with when he's not defending the belt. So we may end up seeing someone that is able to just feel like as long as he's able to adjust to moving that his body in that space and in a competitive level, I think we may end up seeing someone that may be able to hit harder. I mean, I'm not sure in terms of speed, but I think he may find once he gets after the first round, I think he'll find more comfortability in himself. And who knows? I'm not going to say he's going to send him to the slaughter, but I mean, I think Blockowitz ain't going to back down at the end of the day.
Well, what you're
Yeah.
saying is kind of interesting because like Adesanya walks like he fights around right around 185. They say he's not. They say he doesn't really cut much weight at all. I say like he walks around right around 185. So if
Oh, really?
anything, you would figure you might have to put on a little weight to fight him.
No,
So
I thought he walked around 200 pounds.
they say he walks around right around 190.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay. So he's really going up in weight.
that's
This
what I'm
is,
saying. So I mean, maybe that might work in his favor.
Yeah, I mean, heck, if that yeah, that's probably going to work even more in his favor then, because if he's as long as I say it like this, even if he was walking around at 200, 190, 187, whatever, like for him, he doesn't have the one thing he doesn't have to worry about is just cutting weight, and it's just straight. Hey, we're just gonna train like we always do, and in this case, in this case, if it's going from oh, typically we would train and then I have to worry about cutting 5 or 6 pounds. That's not even a concern of his. So he probably can eat a little bit different, a little bit better in terms of like what's going to fuel him. So I think we'll see a lot more to come this week, though.
Right.
Like the results will speak for themselves. So
A fight that I think is a little bit more decisive is this Amanda Nunes co-main event. I'm sorry, Megan Anderson. She doesn't seem like a bad person or anything like that, but Amanda Nunes is, one of the best female fighters, the best female fighter I've seen. She's gonna go in there. I think she's gonna go in there and dominate the fight. I think she'll beat her on the feet, where I think most of the fight will take place. And if she had to, I think she would take her down and work her. But to me, I don't think there's much more to that fight than a dominant stand-up performance.
I think it's either going to be a first round knockout or submission, or she's going to toy with her for 5 rounds like she did Felicia Spencer, just to get the time in, you know. And
yeah,
so that's either or is going to happen. It's not. I just don't see it being competitive. About good on Megan Anderson to get her first title shot, but unfortunately, she went against the greatest female fighter of all time.
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. At the end of the day, Nunez is the greatest, and it's just her time. So when it's all said and done, I don't see Anderson having any chance. Uh, if she gets past the first round, I think she'll probably ask why she toying with me to be honest with you. So it's not much really to be said. I got Nunez first round. Honestly, like if she'll take her out. I think it's up to her.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
yeah,
honest with you.
yeah. However
It's
she
up
wants
to
to do
her.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
if she wants her to wring her ass out, she's gonna do that. If she wants if she, if she wants to just go in there and have a quick night because she wants to go home with her family, she's gonna do that too. So it's like she's gonna. I'll tell you what she won't do is lose.
Nah, nah. Like you remember in the last fight, she was walking around smiling in that girl's face, like, "Come on, let's fight." You know what I mean? While punching her in the face and beating her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like anyway, my main event though, which is the fight before Nunes, is Piotr Jan and Aljamain Sterling, and I'm rooting for Aljamain. I think Aljamain can win, but I think he's going to win by decision. I don't think he's going to finish Piotr Jan, but I think he has the tools to win by decision, and I think he's only going to strike long enough where he could close the distance and take him down and work his ass on the ground. I think that's his game plan. I think that might be his best game plan and not trying to get in a boxing match because you see what happened with Jose Aldo. So I feel like that's Aljamain's best plan. We'll see what he does, of course, but I'm going with Aljamain Sterling, unanimous decision, and new UFC bantamweight champion.
So I think that Aljamain Sterling will win by like a fourth round submission. I think that's the way he'll take it. Only because like I see him getting in a stand up like exchange with Piotr and getting caught possibly, or just him getting the better of him. You know what I mean? I think if we're talking about stand up, I think he has enough to be like a contender on the feet, but if he stands up long enough, he'll get caught and possibly like knocked out. You know what I mean? Like that's not where the fight should be if he wants to win. I
Right.
think that if he wants the advantage, he'll take him down. And I think if he takes him down enough, he will wear him out enough to where he will be able to submit him later on in the fight in the fourth.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'm not. I'm not gonna go with a submission. I think it's gonna go down to a decision, just because it's at the end of the day when you have like anytime, anytime when we know okay, Jan is not like someone that's just food at the end of the day, and we know Sterling is at the same time like he if he does everything right, he has there's a good probability that he can walk out with the belt. I think this is going to be one of those fights where you see Jan is going to he's going to be a little bit more tactical in terms of his strategy and in terms of because at this point it's not fighting for the belt, it's to keep the belt.
Yeah.
So I think he's not going to make I think he's not going to put himself in certain situations where it doesn't benefit him as much. But at the same time, Sterling is not. It's not like Sterling is just going to submit to whatever Jan has to do. So I'm going with Sterling nonetheless in the final round. Well, not in the final round, but as a final decision. So I'm not sure if I think it might end up being a split decision, to be honest with you, and not even unanimous. I think this is going to be a close fight.
You know what? I think it's going to be the most competitive fight on the card too. Honestly, yeah. So I. It could be fight of the night, of course. We'll see, but I'm very excited to see that fight. So
Yeah. I'm more excited to see that fight than the highlights that I watched of Canelo fighting Billy Joe, not Billy Joe, but what was the kid's name?
Jobber number one.
Do we actually have his name?
It's like Amir or something.
Yeah, let's look it up real quick so we can.
Amir Yildirim or something like that. For
Yildirim.
Yes.
Giovanni Yildirim.
Yes. You forgive us for mispronouncing. For listeners, I'm the one with the most uncommon name amongst the three of us. So I get
to last.
It's not Big Cozy, Too Cozy.
so definitely, my name gets mispronounced all the time, but I'm so used to it now, it's okay. So I definitely feel for those like, hey, like if I can't mispronounce the name, I'm really sorry. But with that being said, the dude is jobber number one. He's created a character 6 because the way that Canelo beat him up You know what it looked like? Canelo was like just beating him up, boxing the ears off the dude to the point where his coach in the corner was like, "All right, we did 3 rounds. Let's throw the towel in. Let's collect this paycheck. You did your job. All you have to do is show up." And that's the guy. Just he was just brought in to be a highlight reel. That's it.
Nah,
Nobody,
not not.
nobody heard of
Mm,
this guy unless you're like some diehard purist where you're watching, you know, the janky shows from people's backyards and shit. If you're just a normal guy, hey, I'm gonna watch a good fight tonight. You don't know who this dude is. You could make this guy on Fight Night Round 3. You know what I mean? So like, when I'm just saying, Canelo beat this guy does nothing for me. I probably did nothing for his fans. But him fighting Billy Joe Saunders next is that's very important because now we're talking about unifying titles, which is good. And but him beating Jobber, the Jobber guy, the guy who who's paid to look at the lights at the end of the night, he this is the thing about boxing, bro. That was his mandatory challenger. It was a padded win.
yeah,
That's all it was. And that's the thing about boxing. These corrupt organizations, they come, they figure out a way to scam a beatable opponent to help the star boxer get a win in this record. That's ridiculous. In boxing, you see these guys with 100 and 0, 60 and 1 and all that because 70% of their opponents are guys that just laced up their gloves for the first few times, and hey, you look good enough. Hey, Canelo, this is your mandatory opponent. It's not like, oh shit, this is 5-time world division champion, blah blah blah. Nah, he's the same guy that if fucking Jake Paul, and I don't like Jake Paul, but if he boxed 3 years straight in a row, he might have a good chance to box in Jobber A. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm just saying, like, and I'm talking about a Jake Paul who's boxed real boxers, not a Jake Paul who's beating up non-boxers.
yeah.
But like, it's just it's sickening. You know what I mean? It's sickening. You're just gonna waste your money on the zone to watch that. The guy, man, he got spanked, and as soon as he sit in this corner, you could see his through the fucking mask. Hey, man, we throwing in the towel. Thank you. You made us a lot of money. Don't worry about going out to the fourth round. Go ahead, spit out the mouthpiece.
So, so who was this guy, Billy Joe Saunders? Like, I know he is a champion. He has what is it, WBO champion? But like, is he nice? Like, what is he? What is he?
Well, he's undefeated, which is well, you know how the undefeated thing in boxing goes. If
Right.
you're undefeated, you're a world beater, and you're the next coming of Jesus Christ. So he has that, and he's the WBO. Another corrupt organization. He's their champion. So that's what it is. You know what I mean? And they're unifying the titles. That matters a lot more than him beating some random mandatory challenger from God knows where.
But you know what that all comes down to, though, right? The reason why like a lot more often than not, these mandatories are like jobbers or like just below par is because it goes down to like the biggest issue you have with boxing is the weight division. Like more often than not, when you have a champion at every weight class and it's every 5 pounds, let's say if there's like, okay, you go 150, then 160, right? There's not 152, 155, 158.
Yeah.
When it's just 150 and 160, okay, if you can't make 150, you got to fight at 160, and you're going to get the top tier. All these other little small champions, all the other champions that would be fighting for this unified belt would just be fighting at 160. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's a lot of that because I'll be honest with you, he treated him like it from looking because I watched like primary just the highlights of the fight, which was pretty much the whole fight essentially.
Yeah.
It's nothing more than seeing someone sparring, right? It was like watching him spar against someone. I think the last person he beat in the third round was James Kirkland at that. So him fighting now, going up to fight someone like Billy Joe Saunders, I think that's going to be a lot more of something just because like we said, like he's unified. This is going to be for a unified champion. Billy Joe Saunders has some name to him, like in terms of like respect in the boxing community because he is a champion. It's just the fact of when it comes down to it, like, yo, we want to see you fight the best talent at this point, and this is when we're gonna find out how good somebody really is.
I
No,
think I think Canelo. Sorry, now I
you're
think
good.
Canelo beats Billy Joe, but these are the type of opponents that he needs to fight. Though he needs to fight the champions. He needs to fight the guys who who can be champions and all that. Not fight somebody from 10 buck fucking two. That that even your grandma could be coming in a room and know, like, hey, this person is not going to win the belt. Boxing is like some scripted shit sometimes, I swear, because they're just building Canelo up for his big WrestleMania main event. That's all this shit is.
Well, no, I
Yeah.
mean, like, to me, because, like, as y'all know, like, not the most into boxing like y'all are, but, like, the only time I really do get into it is when I know, like, people that I know are actually boxing people that I know. You know what I mean? So it's like when I hear, like, I don't know Billy Joe Saunders, but apparently he's a champion. You know what I mean? And, like, I had no idea who we fought last night, but I know who Canelo is. And it's like, not only should you be fighting people who matter, we should be fighting people like, with actual names. That's why, like, the what was it, the fight that was supposedly going to happen with Tank and other boy
Ryan Garcia.
Right.
Ryan Garcia. Yeah, like, so that was supposed to happen. It's going to be a big fight, and now it's not happening anymore. So I didn't see this fight last night. It sounds boring. The UFC main event last night was boring. It was so boring, listeners. Loud didn't even want me to talk about it. That's how boring it actually was. I almost fell asleep multiple times. Cyril Gain seems to be like a decent fighter, but not the guy for me. I'll put it like that.
I mean, Canelo has had some good opponents, but they're like he's had the Danny Jacobs, he's had like the Sergey Kovalevs, who were they like Kovalev especially was a champion, but Andre Ward settled that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
he,
like
he
Andre,
definitely did. Yeah.
yeah, Andre Ward put an end to that. Like I think, to be honest with you, like I just want to go back to the point that I was talking about, where just having like the best fight the best. And Canelo's situation, I think is, to some extent, I think it is a protection of him, because I think the last real competition that he had, like that was top tier, might have been Gennady Golovkin.
Yeah.
And even those two fights, most people would categorize it as like, oh, this was a draw or something like that. So it categorized it, even though as a draw, that Canelo actually lost it. So it's one of those weird fights. But I mean, we'll see. I think there'll be more to see if this fight between him and Billy Joe Saunders happens. I mean, but then, like, I will say this in better news. I think when it comes to what I've seen during the week, which I think everybody got hyped for, was Bobby Schmurder came back home. The
Yeah,
whole
man.
his hat actually broke like the space barrier, cracked the atmosphere, landed back on his head safely, calmly, and the king is back. And is we don't even know any of these other rappers that try to make a name for themselves through antics, because Bobby's back home. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully he gets that song with Fetty Waka. Oh.
Oh. The video.
That's
You
funny.
see that? Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think I don't know, man. I'm kind of excited that he's out, man. Like, it's nice to see that he did more time for his friend, so he can get out like right around the same time he did, and like he's back out, and enjoying life. And I think it's really respectable what he did. You know what I mean? So like, I'm
yeah.
excited to see whatever they do. I hope he really succeeds, which I think he will.
Yeah, I mean, he did come out and say that, like, where he is mentally now. He's like, he was just reading a lot in jail, so his main concern now is like going into real estate and trying to figure out how to invest money and everything like that. So it sounds like that whole ordeal and experiences, now that it's past him, that he recognized, like, yo, I don't want to ever go back. I don't want to I don't want to make any dumb decisions that could put me in that same circumstance again. So
Here's a fun fact about Bobby Schmurder. Shouts out to him and Rowdy Rebel. But I didn't know this. So the thing came out like, oh, well, Quavo and Bobby, they're friends or whatever like that. And if you do a little deep dive in, you'll see like they actually was making songs before Bobby got locked up.
Schmigo gang.
Yeah, Schmigo gang. But Bobby said that Quavo was holding him down the past 6 years he was locked up. So like I guess they really Schmigo gang. You know what I mean? It
That's what's
wasn't
up.
like a facade or anything like that. Like so apparently Quavo was probably put money on his book. He was probably, contacting him, often checking on Bobby. And I feel like, shouts out to Quavo for that. There's not enough. I don't think there's enough of that in the rap game alone in let alone the real world. So shouts out to Quavo for that.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big shout out because at first, I'm not gonna hold you. Just like a lot of people, because I had forgot about the Schmiegel gang stuff. Because I do remember once they brought it back up, I do remember like there was like this big craze that they were supposed to be coming out with a joint project. But
Yeah.
prior to that, I was like, I think a lot of people's the consensus was like, oh, this is just for like you just trying to get your name put out there. But for when you have someone like Bobby come out and say, "Yo, listen, he been rocking with me the whole time I was down," there's not much to be questioned. Like I think that's something that you got to really salute and honor because, just like you said, more often than not, people go in and a lot of people that were friends or close to him forget about them. So,
It's true, man.
which is big, yeah. Like, did y'all see any of those memes about about Bobby Schmurder being home though?
Are you talking about the one with the three lovely Caucasian women?
Nah, I wasn't even talking
Uh
about. I was nah, I wasn't even talking about.
Which one
that
is that?
that was the meme that I seen that was going
Oh, you mean
crazy.
that one? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Said he hasn't met Dr. Umar yet.
yeah.
Oh, I
But
didn't see
apparently,
that one.
Yeah.
but apparently, he knew them in some shape or form while he was
Yeah.
locked up and prior. So it wasn't just some like three random women that he went to go hook up with. Apparently, he knew them some way. So
Here's my
Yeah.
thing though. Why do we care? Why do we care about that? You know what I
no,
mean?
I agree. I think people were just getting really emotionally invested about it for no reason. I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, if that's what he wanted to do to kick it with his homegirls, or if they were just three random women looking for a good time, that's that's on him. Like
Uh,
he been locked up for a long time. Like
Let him live his life.
let him live his damn
First thing he
life.
doing.
Yeah,
Like, nah, that's a fact. I mean, but that's what social media is, bro. Like when it's all said and done, that social media is nothing more than well, not social media in total, but like when people have these opinions and everything like that, more often than not, it's similar to a meme I saw because congratulations to Jay Z as well for inking the deal with LVMH on the I think it's not the Douce but like his champagne brand, right? The Ace of Spade. But even like in that situation, I saw a meme where they were saying, "Yo, you'll have people, family and friends that won't even tell you happy birthday, but will go on Instagram and say, "Yo, congratulations, bro, aka Jay Z,
Yep.
for this big deal X, Y, and Z." It's just because I think honestly, I think the world we once lived in, like in the 80s, where you would see people putting posters up of like their favorite teen celebrities and stuff like that. I think it's just been inflamed because now it's social media, so you don't technically have to grow out of that phase as an adult, you like, I don't have time to read magazines on what Michael Jackson's doing or putting posters up. Now it's like, oh, you can be 45 and following the moves of Jay-Z or Two Chains or Bobby Shmurda or whoever, and still feel like you're connected to the artist. So
I feel
it's
like
just a weird world.
I feel like I don't do that. I don't be like, oh, congrats, bro, and all that stuff because I don't know, motherfucker. I don't know you. You know what I mean? So I'm not calling you my brother, but
Facts.
I
Facts.
Rolling.
but it, and what I do though is like if I'm listening to a song I like it, I'll post it on Instagram and I'll like shout out the artist, put like a fire emoji beside it or something. So I feel like we all do in our own ways. I don't do it to that extent, but I do it some way.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's
Yeah.
I think the only time it's an issue is when Dr. Umar had a good quote for this. It was, oh, majoring in the minor things, right? Like to me, I think that's what that like. There's nothing wrong with saying like, oh, let me share this person's music or whatever. Like even I think I went on like a spree of just posting old clips I had from different different concerts I went to, and it happened to be Absol's birthday, and I went to an Absol concert, so I tagged Absol in it, right? But at the same time, other than that, I'm not gonna be like, yo, do you know Absol had such and such girl or whatever the case may be? That, no, no. Like, I mean, I think people are so invested into these lives that you can see it at times where even like someone like Biggie, right? Like there's a new Netflix documentary coming out, and I think it just goes to show you how people be so invested because I'm not gonna hold you. I'm slightly invested, but I feel like I've heard everything there is to be heard
Yeah.
about like Biggie and everything like that. But I am excited for this though, just in terms of like just from a hip hop standpoint.
Yeah. I'm interested to see it. I'm not sure, what other new stuff they had to say about it or whatever. And I mean, of course, I'm going to watch it because the rap fan in me, hip hop fan, is curious what they have to say. But I know, in some unfortunate news, like because of the unfortunate, end that goes with that, we have more like COVID cases that are happening, across the country. Apparently, there's been 500,000 people who have, tested positive for COVID.
We're gonna be stuck in this shit till like 2023. Like, listen, bro, we're gonna be dealing. This is it, man. This is the new normal. I didn't want to believe it last year. Like, yo, it can't go on till 20. Nah, man,
This is it.
this is it for a few years, guys. And you know, I feel like, look, it's not a bad thing because I feel like a lot of people's already adjusted to the new way of living. Myself included. I just think that these COVID cases, they're not going to disappear overnight. They're not. Wearing a mask prevents and helps prevention and practices safe measures, but wearing a mask isn't going to get rid of the fucking virus neither. You know what I mean? So this shit's going to be here for a minute, and as motherfuckers continue to go out and be like, fuck it, I'm going to the club, damn what they say, we're going to start seeing 600,000, 700,000, 800,000. And then the same motherfuckers that was out there trying to club and girls shaking their ass are the same ones that's going to be shaking 6 feet under the grave, nigga.
Oh my God.
Wear your mask. Wear your mask and keep some sanitizer.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be shaking 6 feet under the grave. Like, my God.
Oh
Hey,
man, nah.
that it's a sad thing. It's a sad thing, but they should let people know, like, yo, like, COVID is real. I know a few people who got COVID and they were fucked up about it. This isn't some mythical cold. No, this shit is real, and people do get affected by it. So be safe and really think about the person next to you, because you might be like, damn what they say, but you might be affected somebody who has fucking health issues, you know what I mean? And they're going to get fucked up by it. So I'm not surprised by this. I think people should just continue to take COVID a lot more serious. I have my doubts, but this shit it's for real, man. It's for real.
Yeah. Everybody I know who's had COVID said, hey, like, it's no joke. It's either it's no joke, but I can't taste anything for a few days, or it's no joke and I felt like I was going to die. And it's like, it seems like there's no real in between. So it's like, you can take that 50-50 chance if you want to. I'm straight. Like, I'm good. I don't want any part of that. So it just is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to be said after what all you guys have said. It is what it is. I mean, I think people just need to take the right precautions because I've known people. I know some people that have had it before, and it's the same. I had a person tell me they had it and they were drinking liquor to see if they could like at least taste alcohol. They said it tasted like nothing. So
Wow.
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah,
That's crazy. I can't imagine
yeah,
that. I can't.
yeah. And they were telling me like, yeah, like I couldn't taste anything. I'm like, for 2 weeks, couldn't taste anything for 2 weeks. They went as far as drinking alcohol to see if they could taste something, and they said straight liquor, straight henny out the bottle tasted like nothing. Like that gives you a clear, concise example as to what the dangers can be. So I mean, but people want to take their chances as much as they want. I've Now that it's starting to it's cold up north, but it's kind of hot and warm down south right now. So I'm seeing people doing a lot of trips to Miami. The mayor of Atlanta's already came out. Keisha Bottom, she came out and told people don't party during All Star Weekend out here. But I mean, Hey, it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. You tons of times I see on my Instagram story, people are at clubs, no mask, having a good time, and I'm just thinking, oh, won't I'll pass on the invite. I
Yeah,
made it this far. I'll pass on the invite, man.
yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. You want to go to the party? No, I'm all right, man.
We had more
Yeah.
unfortunate news with Tiger Woods getting in a car accident this week. He had multiple breaks in his leg, if I'm not mistaken. Not a good, situation for him to be in. So, definitely thoughts and prayers to Tiger Woods and his family for sure.
Yeah, shouts out to Tiger. Career is over. And I'm not saying that in a joking matter, trying to be funny, but for real. They said severe leg injuries. Tiger is already getting up there in age. I mean, like, fortunately for him, golf is a sport where he can make a real comeback to it at even at his age. But it's getting to the point where it's like, hey man, this might have been the one that cut his career shorter than he would probably like to for it to happen. And I don't think he was ever playing for money or whatever like that. I think he was just playing for legacy. You know what I mean? He already got mad money. He got mad bread. He was going to keep making money. He's probably making money right now as we speak. It's just that
Yeah.
I think he was playing for legacy, and with this car accident and with this major leg surgery going on, I think the career is probably going to be cut short. And I think the most important thing though is that he is alive, and then he's able to live to tell the tale of of what happened and all that stuff like that. And it's unfortunate, but it's a good thing that he's going to be able to pull through.
I think his career will be over. I think definitely just with the amount of time it would take for him to be fully, I would say like healed and whatnot, it would just be a little bit too late. You know what I mean? Like, but I think he will be able to recover. I just think that as far as playing a professional sport, that's a different situation.
Yeah. I mean, he'll eventually his leg will heal back, but I think in terms of what he was what because his career was he wasn't the same Tiger after the whole after a couple incidents that happened in the past decade anyway.
Right.
Right.
But he
So
won a Masters though. He won the
Right.
yeah,
big one. Yeah.
Exactly.
he did win one. Don't get me wrong. He did win like he still was still competing at a high level, but even then it wasn't in such a dominating fashion. And then on top of it, it's similar to like Serena, where Serena just lost recently to I think
Naomi
Naomi.
Naomi
Yeah,
Osaka. Shouts out
Yep.
to her.
Yeah.
The face of women's sports.
Legend in the making right there.
Yeah.
exactly. Like shout outs to Corday for getting that. No, I'm serious. Like that's
Brother.
it's a, I think
Brother.
yeah, it's like, and I don't even mean it in no funny, weird type of way. Like that's it's dope to see like someone of that stature in terms of athlete, and then this young rapper as well, right?
Right.
So, but no, like I think it's similar in that case for Tiger though. At the end of the day, like I think it is what it is. He's getting older. His body will recover. He'll still be able to play, but a leg injury is not like the best injury to have. Like lower body injuries are like the worst injuries to have, and I think we all can attest to that. So I mean, I just at the end of the day, just thankful that he got. I'm just thankful that
No.
that he's healed,
It's like looking at me through the
and
camera. He's like, yeah, Nigel.
yeah,
No, no, me too.
Oh yeah,
Me
I
too.
forgot your knee. Yeah.
Both these.
yeah.
Jesus.
Sheesh. Listen, man, you thought Derrick Rose had it bad,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I mean, shout outs to him. Hopefully, he gets better, healed up from that at least. So, but I mean, I don't. I'm gonna let you bring this one in, man.
Nah, I don't. Nah, I don't. Go ahead, you got it.
All right.
Listeners are waiting.
So listen. So we just talked about one tragic event, and we're going into another tragic event. RP to one of the goats of basketball of all time, Kobe Bryant. But unfortunately, his name was used in a very unfortunate manner to the general consensus, not your World Tag Team Champions listeners, the actual general consensus, the actual general consensus of the population. You know, it, you know. So Meek, he said some lyrics, including Kobe Bryant's name in an unfavorable way, and it put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, including Kobe's wife, Vanessa Bryant, where she had to publicly come out and tell me, hey, I don't like what you said regarding my husband. Whether it's a bar or cool, dope bar or not, it's not in a positive light with my husband. So Meek, he received major backlash. But after he received the backlash, he came out and said, hey, I apologize privately to her, but these internet people, they're not going to get to me. They don't understand. And I'll put it like this right now, the table is a 90% 10. You have 90% of people saying Meek just took a big L. Then you have those 10% of people like, oh, well, Pooh Shiesty said it. All these other rappers said it, which is basically discrediting human feeling. What do you guys think about this shit?
First of all, I hate when people say, "Oh, well, this guy did this too." Like, shut the fuck up. That's stupid. I always think I hate when they do that. Second of all, what I will say is this, right? I understand why everybody feels the way they feel about this Meek Mill lyric, right? And what I'll say is that they have every right to feel that way about it because of what he said. But I'll say that he has the right to say it. I don't think he ever meant for anybody to hear it. If it was going to be, put out, maybe there might have been something around it. I think with it being out in the public, though, he has to deal with that. It's not necessarily the best of looks, but it doesn't make, I would say that saying that people are soft isn't necessarily the best way to react to it, but that's just me.
I've been talking about this for like ever since since that clip came out, right? I've been having a lot of conversations about this. I do agree where I think the bar was tasteless, right? It shouldn't have been something. It was something that was tasteless, but we also have to keep in account that this was a snippet, right? So there's probably more context around it, but even then, it doesn't matter. Like it's a tasteless bar.
Right.
Like the timing was just wrong at the end of the day, and you have people that agree, disagree. Um, I'm glad that Meek did apologize for it, and I think at the end of the day, it seems as though like okay, like if someone can acknowledge, yo, I'm wrong, right? But I will say this: I observing over the past few months, past 6 months, I think some stuff is self inflicted, but there is like a Meek hate train, right? And it's some to me like I've always said this is very similar to Wale, like the hate train that grew for Wale at one point in time, which ended up messing. Well, it kind of tarnished his career a lot, where nobody wanted to listen to him, and I think that's the part that Meek is trying to move around because I recognize there is a general consensus on the internet now where Meek is painted. No matter what Meek does, if he's having fun, they make him seem some way. If he doesn't react a certain way when he gets addressed in a parking lot by a kid with a phone, he gets perceived a certain way. So I do believe that there is a I'm not gonna say there's conspiracy, but I do believe there's like a hate train right now for Meek, and I think that's one of the things I think he's trying to address. I think he shouldn't couple it with his apology. That should just be a whole nother conversation
Right.
and just be like, "Yo, I apologize publicly." But hey, it's the internet, man. It's the internet, and it's a place where people can have whatever opinions they want to have without having to worry about defending. I don't even want to use the word consequence. They don't have to worry about defending their points. A lot of times people just make these statements on, oh, Meek is trash, Meek is this, that, and the third, when it's like, yo, he's just a human being. He made a mistake, apologize for it, and that's it. But you know
Um,
how people are.
hey, man, everybody does make mistakes, and maybe he should have thought about what he was putting down to be recorded, to avoid anything of a leak or anything like that. But, you know, oh well. I mean, that's how I felt. That's how I feel. I'm not part of the Meek Mill hate train. I'm not one of, and I don't support that as well. I don't, it's unfair to certain people. It's not like Meek is this really bad person in the rap game like somebody else that we know, that loves antagonizing people. But he did have a fucking L, But you know what doesn't have L's? having 5 million viewers on your debut episode for a comedy sitcom. Yes, listeners, you probably already guessed as soon as I said that. Well, who could have 5 million? Only one person could pull that off. Well, two, and I'm one of them. The other person is The Rock.
Loud and The Rock are on the same level. Who would have thought? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, in all seriousness, though, yeah. So The Rock, he came out with a new show called Young Rock, which is supposed to be detailing his life when he was a kid, a teenager, when he went to college, et cetera, et cetera. Um, before he became to what people know of him today. And it's a new sitcom on NBC. It comes on Hulu the day after. But the first episode debuted with 5 million viewers, which is the biggest, highest rated comedy TV show since like 2017. And I saw the first episode. I'm about to watch the second episode here shortly. It's kind of funny. I think it's good for like a get together or like a family environment type of deals. It's pretty cool. I mean, everybody knows The Rock used to be a wrestler. It's not heavy on wrestling, so I mean they do show it and they definitely mention it, but it's not no like, hey, this is about his career for when he jumped in. It's not like that. It's about his life. So I everybody should definitely tune into it, check it out if you want to learn a little more about The Rock. Of course, it's a dramatized thing of it because it's they have actors portraying him versus it being like a documentary or a biopic. But it's a funny show though.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. But all I can say is like I'm quite sure it's a good show. The Rock, anything The Rock puts his hands on now turns to gold. Anyway, as like a Midas touch. So big congratulations. I'll when I get a chance, I'll check it out. I think it sounds like it's similar to some different shows I've heard before. Well, different shows I've heard before where it just characterizes the person's life. So
Like
without outside of
everybody,
just
like
yeah,
everybody hates Chris.
yeah, exactly. Like, and that was like that was like a hit show. So
I
that something else too. Go ahead.
I can't say that I've seen the show yet, but I'll give it a watch. Listeners, this is Lau actually has some decent recommendations for shows. He's uh
Decent.
there. No, he knows some good shows. It's not like every show he says is like the shit, but like he brought me back into watching Shark Tank after years. Like I'm actually enjoying it. Shouts out to Damon John. You know what I mean? Like really like just killing it. But shouts out to Mark Cuban too because I actually like him on the show as well.
And shouts out to Auntie Barbara, that the only old woman I would call Auntie. She
Auntie say you're the one, little bro.
yeah.
Shouts out to Gunu too. Who would have thought Gunu and Shark Tank would be on the show? That's crazy.
Yes, sir.
Hold on,
But
what?
We'll explain it after we get done recording.
yeah. But yeah, man, that's what happens when you're a connoisseur of the fine arts. You recommend good stuff.
You recommended I would get a PS5 too, but I can't get that, and it looks like they're actually going to start investigating that soon. What's that about?
Yeah, so President Biden, he plans to sign an executive order where they're going to investigate shortages on the PS5 and Xbox Series X's. And then they worked so the people who are behind PS5 and Xbox Series X's, apparently they wrote a letter asking for government help, saying like, hey, we need this, that, and the third to help continue manufacturing these consoles. If we can't get that, then these parts they could go to the wrong hands where people could make things like missiles with what's it called, the shit, Nigel, where you have the missiles but they have lasers on them. It's like homing missiles,
Like
but
coordinated, like coordinated attacks and whatnot.
in a sense, yes, like that.
Oh,
uh I, by the way, this article's on gamerant.com for listeners who wants to check up on it. The article's there, so read up on it. Yeah, I think it's interesting that the president would even be involved in something like this. Like, I thought this was just a private business entity, but I guess it's serious enough where the president placed aside an executive order
That's
to
crazy.
investigate it. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good news for you. That means you might get your PS5 sooner than later.
Hey, I mean, I got a broken leg in time, so I mean that would be very nice. You know what
You,
I mean?
but I mean, you might get that shit. You could get the PS5 sooner before Spence shows love to currency.
Spencer's showing no love to currency ever.
Yeah,
You didn't even listen to his new project, did you?
I mean,
it's a no.
No, 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 he didn't. He didn't. All right.
Yeah,
nah.
I mean,
I'm gonna check out.
I
As soon as
mean, I
yep.
mean, I mean.
So
I
explain
mean,
to the listeners why you hate currency, Spence.
I never said I hated currency.
We had to cut
I
that
just
part of the show out. You said it. You said it multiple times.
I've never said I've hated currency. Here Nigel goes, people creating these narratives that don't exist.
I
He's
never
building
do that.
bridges to nowhere right now. That's what he's doing. These narratives are bridges that lead to nowhere.
All right, tell me
they're
what you like about
the
currency. Then.
falsified state, fake.
What do you like
fake.
about currency? Tell me what. Tell me what song you like.
Yes, can
Yeah.
you do that? Is that too much?
Yeah.
Is
I
that
only
too
can name Drake songs, Drake and Jay-Z songs. That's it. Like I can't. I wish I could. I'm sure the stuff that he makes. I'm sure he's been a feature on something that I've liked. Like I think he did a song with Larry June or something like that. I just ain't a big fan of his.
Hmm.
Never been.
All right.
Ain't
I mean, that's all right. It's all good. I ain't even mad
Yeah.
on. I ain't even mad at Spence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We did have that legendary debate about Mac Miller versus currency.
We had to cut it
But,
out.
yeah, we had to cut that shit out. You know, I had to tell
I don't.
Spence, yo, cut it out. Like,
Yep.
cut that shit
I
out,
don't.
bro. What the fuck you talking about? Cut it out. And we
Listen,
was
I don't
going
even know
back and
what you guys
forth.
are talking about. I don't even
Shouts out to
remember that
Mac Miller
conversation.
too, a legend.
R.I.P. Mac
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. No, I mean definitely all that.
R.I.P. to Mac Miller.
What do you
He
think
is-
of the project though, La?
I liked it. I thought it was cool. Will it be top 10 by the end of the year? I don't think so, but I think it was a cool project. I think that there's no skippable songs unless you're just not in the mood to listen to a certain song. It's a
Mm.
I mean, we know you're gonna skip the whole entire project. That's how you have even listened
I
to
didn't, I didn't say anything.
it.
You guys see how this narrative works, man? They're
Yeah.
conspiring against me. That's
No.
Well, what I'll say, being the only other person that's probably going to listen to the project on the podcast, I'll say that I liked it. I thought it was cool. I don't think it's, I think being a currency fan, like currency, what you're going to get, you know what I mean? And it's whether it's you're going to like it or you're not. And that's, me and Lau like it. A lot of people like currency and just one person doesn't. I don't know why.
Yo, listen, man. I've listened to Currency music. He don't make all his music isn't bad. It's just I don't really care for him as an artist.
Hmm.
What else is there to say?
I mean,
What is it?
I don't
listen,
know.
some people listening to people that rap super fast while doing spoken word over like weird beats, but nobody judges Nigel. You get what I'm saying? So
That's true.
yeah,
That's-
listen, man.
That's true.
Hey,
To each his
there's so
own.
many different styles. Like even like and the thing I noticed now recently is that I think you're starting to see like more like different areas, different regions have like their own style start popping up more. And like I noticed a lot with like even with bigger artists, like it seems like a lot of artists are like hopping on like that DMV wave, honestly, when it comes
Yeah.
to rappers.
Absolutely, man. I think it's going to be so. It's kind of like Detroit. Detroit is having a wave right now where a lot of people are trying to rap like them or get some of their beats or work with some of their artists. So Detroit's having that wave. I feel like DMV's having that wave too. Now, as far as popularity goes, you just have to get, that's an argument, I guess, to have depending on who you want to talk to about it. But the DMV rappers, they're getting a little wave, and it's not like a wave where like one of them is mainstream. It's a wave where like, hey, if you go to the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, even Delaware is getting a little bit of it, Pennsylvania maybe. You will hear about these guys and they're getting strong in the community. It's kind of like the Bay Areas back in the day. The Bay Areas, they weren't mainstream guys. Like E40 wasn't a mainstream guy. Same with T-Shirt, but they were big on the West Coast. You know what I mean? Like you knew about them and shit like that. So that's how the DMV way might start to become like that, where they might have a few big guys. Like there's a guy that's getting big named Big Flock, and Big Flock, he's already got songs for like with Pooh Shiesty and shit like that. So, and Pooh Shiesty is one of the hardest artists right now. So it's just a thing where it's just in due time. I think more and more people are going to tune into the DMV wave. With that being said, though, the only thing about my only criticism about the DMV thing is the way that they rap. To me, it's like, hey, Migos flow DC edition.
Mm.
That's how I feel, because like they rap exactly like the Migos.
It's weird because like
Old school Migos, not the auto tune singing Migos.
when I listen to them nowadays, like it's where I listen to them and I'm not really expecting like the next great rapper to come out of the DMV area, but like a lot of times it seems like you do have like in your pick, like you will have that one rapper that rises out of those areas that's actually pretty decent. But as of right now, most of the DMV rappers in that wave are like they're not making music to where it's like, wow, like this is like a great piece of work. Like they're making music that has a certain sound with it. I'm not gonna lie, I fuck with the sound. I think the sound is cool, but it's an interesting thing, and I think it's actually catching on a lot. Maybe also it's because we live in the area that we could say that, you know what I mean. But at the same point in time, it's nice to see certain artists like take off, like your Goo News and ASAP Ants and other people.
And shouts out to both of them. You know what I mean? Yeah, these guys, they got over 100,000 followers on Instagram and shit like that. Meaning, like, people are paying attention. You know what I mean? You don't get that if you're just, some amateur hour rapper. You know what I mean? So like,
No, that's a fact.
so they're grabbing the right attention, and if they don't fuck it up, they're gonna only get bigger. I feel like ASAP Ant, he's pretty much goaded, right? Because he's part of the ASAP mob. So he he's always gonna have that. Oh yeah, he's part of ASAP mob. So
Right.
but for rappers like Gunu and all that, all he has to do is just keep working hard, and yes, he's gonna have to improve his rapping ability, but if he could do that, he's gonna get. I mean, look at 21 Savage. Nobody knew who 21 was, as far as like the rap game goes. He comes out with Red Ops, which was kind of a big song for like the Atlanta area, but the 21 now is a much better rapper than the 21 that first came out. So
I remember when Red Ops came out. I was down in Mississippi at the time, and I was telling I was hanging out with the girl, and I was telling her, I was like, hey, at some point in time you're gonna be saying Slaughter Gang. And mind you, this is just when Red Ops came out, so not a lot of people were talking about it. And little did I know that he was gonna be like one of the most popular rappers from that wave of rappers that came out.
and
Yeah.
one of the most respected too. Like,
Nah, that's a fact.
yeah, it seems like a lot of people fuck with 21, man, and I'm a fan of 21 Savage's music. But like going back to the DMV thing before we move on, it's just I feel like this is kind of like, hey, this is going to be the early build to something bigger for in years to come. Like these rappers like 699, Gunu, et cetera, they might not be like the big ones to pop or whatever like that, but they're definitely going to be the pioneers to the one that is going to pop.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So there was another thing that happened recently with Daft Punk, and I'm a pretty decent fan of Daft Punk. I listen to most of their discography and whatnot, and
Discovery's classic.
Discovery's a classic. Human After All is classic. A lot of people know them for their more recent album. It's Ram. I can't remember the exact
Random
words.
Access Memories.
Yeah, that one, which is a cool album, and they're splitting up after 28 years. Shouts out to them. They've made some classic songs, some nice shit to run to at the gym, or just if you want to have in the background. And it's kind of crazy. But if we're talking about people, well, did y'all have anything to say about that?
Legends of the game. You know, let's toast to them. They're in the Hall of Fame. And I wasn't trying to rhyme.
Nah, I mean, nah, they it's a bittersweet thing when it comes to them breaking up. I Part of me is like somewhat excited to see what comes from it, just because I think I think something like this is necessary. after so long, just because they're two individual people that probably have different interests, whether it be something music related or non-music related, and they want to just explore those different options because it seems like it's an amicable relationship or split rather. So it doesn't seem like there's any malice, and they probably just want to go off and do bigger things or bigger or just newer things. I think they've provided and contributed so much to the game that I think there's nothing that, as a fan, from a fan standpoint of not necessarily their music itself, but all the music that's been associated with them, that's been influenced by them. Like we don't get bigger, faster, stronger, or whatever it's called by Kanye without them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then there's other songs outside of just that. So I mean, it's bittersweet. Congratulations on whatever they decide to go and do. And hopefully it's nothing but more positive and bigger things and better things that come from this for them. So hopefully they're able to do one last tour if possible, though. Definitely with this whole COVID thing. So
I would go too. I know with this
yeah,
the new music that's coming out though, so I'm excited for Anderson.Paak and Bruno Mars. They're putting out an album. What is it, Silk Sonic or something like that, or Sonic Silk?
Yeah, something like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. That's the concert that I'm going to when they come together. That's the concert I'm going to. And if
Yeah,
they get Miguel as a feature, psh,
yeah, I think he's
bruh,
gonna be on there somewhere, backup vocal something.
has
We're
to be.
we're gonna hear him on there. It's gonna be interesting.
Thundercat for
Thundercat's
sure.
gonna be on there. I'm very excited.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thundercat. Hold on. Is for certain that Thundercat's gonna be on there, or it's
We
just
don't know.
No,
speculation?
no, it's just
Speculation.
speculation. Yeah, because
Gotcha.
him and Anderson.Paak, they're like homeboys, and
Yeah.
apparently when he was working on his last album, Anderson.Paak was fucking with him with the last album too. So
We'll see,
Yeah.
man.
This is gonna be a pretty big. This is gonna be a big thing to see, though.
for
Definitely
the
see that.
for that genre of music, yeah, it's going to be very big, and I think it's good. I think it's good for music in general, man, because like when you see a lot of collaboration projects, it's out of rap. Lately, it's been just mainly out of rap. So for it to happen in that space is dope because it's kind of like, hey, this can happen in all genres where people will care, across the board of music fans.
Exactly. And I think honestly, I think this is, I think for, because I think at the end of the day, I think it's a consensus that Bruno Mars is the bigger star between the two of them.
Yeah,
But
100%,
yeah,
without a doubt.
so I
Like
think this is
Anderson
going to
can't
be
compare.
exactly, but
He doesn't
musically,
mean anything.
speak for yourself, man.
Jesus.
Jeez, man.
I just wanted to know if he was going to catch on what I was doing.
It's like, oh, he doesn't compare. I was like, yeah. I was like, I thought about it. I was like, yeah, that's a little strong statement, but I'll let you have it. Like, he doesn't mean anything.
It's like Jesus, man.
So that's where we're taking this pod today.
Well,
But
go
now
ahead.
I will say this: I do think this is going to give Anderson.Paak the exposure that he needs. Also, just I think it's going to be beneficial for both parties at the end of the day, just because this has so much potential of being a classic album. That I think this is going to just do wonders for both of their careers, not even just Anderson.Paak. So
Agreed. You had anything to say, Nigel? Because I know that you're oozing at the bit to say something.
Nah, I was just curious. I was thinking about that collaboration and the plugs I met too, which is
Well,
another collaboration
collaboration.
between Benny the Butcher and Harry Fraud. How do you guys feel about it?
I
yeah,
think I
He
I
said,
don't.
Spence said, okay, Spence.
I I know why he's saying it because he wasn't a fan of the first one. That's why he's saying it. He's not saying it because it's Benny. Come on.
yeah.
We might not.
We don't have we
We
don't
might
have to
not.
have that conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So I'm excited for it because I'm a Benny the Butcher fan. I'm a Harry Fraud fan as well. Shouts out to him and Jim Jones project. So
Yeah,
I think that the plugs I met, it's going to be misleading, right? Because you come out with Burden Proof, which was an album, a great album, and then you're doing plugs I met too, which is not necessarily an album. It's kind of like an EP. So it could go one of two ways. It could be like that whole Black Soprano mixtape shit that he did with DJ Drama, where it's like, hey, this is super mid, or this gonna be like, yo, Benny's he's on fire right now. He's not missing with shit. Looks like he's about to get himself a championship ring. That's that's how I see it. So I'm kind of 50-50 with it. Obviously, I'm going to listen to it day one before anything else I drops that day. But I think I'm probably more excited right now for the Conway and West Side projects.
Oh,
Yeah, I really want to hear Benny's whatever album that he got with the Drake feature. You know, that's the Benny project that I think all his fans are waiting for. I'm this to me is kind of like a placeholder until we get to that.
Yeah. I'm with you on that somewhat. I mean, I think today because of streaming, it's the concept of like what's an album, what's not an album is a little like sticky.
Okay.
But even in this case, I think he is going to give us more of, I'm not gonna say mid, but like because Benny doesn't one thing I'll say about Benny is he don't miss, right? When it
right.
comes to like rapping, he doesn't miss. Like I wasn't a fan of Plugs I Met, and I'm going to listen to this album because I want to be a fan of it because I am a fan of Benny the Butcher. But I mean, I be honest with you, I mean Tana Talk 4 is like the only thing that I need.
That's the
So
next. That's the next one. That's the next
yeah,
one.
I think that's gonna be the one. I think that's gonna be his next album for real, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
I I don't know. I'm looking forward to it just because it's Benny the Butcher. You know what I mean? New Benny the Butcher is you know, that's always a good thing to look forward to. You know what I mean?
Shouts out.
yeah,
Shouts out to Benny. I think Benny easily is one of the best rappers of right now, and I don't. I'm. You know, there's not too many people that you could argue with me about who's gonna rap circles around a nigga. You know what I mean? It's not. When you talk about Benny, you're comparing him to actual good rappers now, like Cole, Kendrick, and Drake. You know, good rappers. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that Benny is big as them, so let's not make a narrative up. I'm just saying, as far as rapping ability go, I think Benny's in that stratosphere.
yeah.
So
I mean, he does bring out the best when he steps into the booth. He brings out the best of anybody. Like even that Wayne verse, it exemplifies it at its core of like, yo, Wayne has up and down verses from time to time, but when it was like, yo, I'm on this track with Benny, I gotta step it up. I can't. There's no half stepping. So Benny, I do think Benny will deliver something. It's just a matter of. I mean, I honestly, I'm gonna just leave it at this. March 19th, I'll be able to make a firm decision as to whether Benny's hitting still or if he's starting to miss. So
Yes, listeners, tune into the episode because we're gonna be breaking it down. You know, we're breaking that shit down.
so listeners, we have any or I'm sorry. Do we
till
have
it's too
anything else to
stinky
say
for
to
him.
the listeners, y'all? I think that's about it. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, man. I think this is it for the podcast for the episode. I want to go ahead and let out a little precursor for the future, guys. You know, episode 50 is right around the corner. It's the big 50 for us, and we will work, you know, to give you guys a good episode for Big 50. But you know, there's some episodes in between. So, you know, the Big 50, that's like the WrestleMania. So you guys gotta tune into the other pay-per-views. Make sure you tune in like you're paying money, like pay-per-view money. It's worth pay-per-view money. So just keep, you know, shouts out to the listeners. Thank you so much. We're very grateful for you guys. You know, we always having fun doing this shit. And make sure you follow us. Follow your boy Big Cozy Too Cozy on Instagram.
Shout out to my dad. He sent in a viewer response, and we had a viewer response on the last episode. I want to encourage anybody who's listening to this to send in a viewer response. You know, tell us why you like us, tell us why you hate us, tell us why you like, what we do, all that shit. You know what I mean? Um, you know, definitely look out. Be aware.
Yeah. I ain't got much to say. I think you guys said everything that needed to be said. Anybody that, well, I'm gonna wait still because I'm quite sure there's people that's listening that have watched Snowfall. Can't wait to get like other people's opinions on it as well because it's another classic show for another classic season. So, but other than that, drink your water, stay in the house if you need to, wear a mask, and sanitize.
And follow us at the Highly Advised Podcast. Follow
Facts.
us at Advise Highly on Twitter.
Facts.
Follow us, subscribe, like, and comment on the YouTube channel. Leave reviews on
Facts.
Spotify. Leave reviews on Apple. If you don't, we're breaking your goddamn neck.
Whew.
Until next week, listeners, you've been highly advised.
Boom, 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 boom.
Shisha.